So Sarah, thank you for sitting down with me. I have never been over here to the hostel in Hyannis. Very exciting to take a tour and see what it's like. I think that I've always had a preconceived notion of a hostel, and this just blew that out of the water. Tell me a little bit, if for someone who's watching who hasn't been to a hostel, tell me a little bit about what hostels are like now in the U.S.
Sure, absolutely. So there's a lot of misconceptions around hosteling being an animal house or being sort of like the horror movie that was published in the United States, which didn't help our cause any. But hostels are in fact a way for people to have an intercultural exchange and to meet people that they wouldn't otherwise have normally. So it's a very affordable way of being able to have a bed, yes, to rest your head at night, but also to enjoy things like a communal kitchen and communal living spaces. So you can interact with tons of other people, and it's a blast. It's an absolute blast.
And you never know, you might run into someone who's here from another country and really expose yourself to some interesting cultures, some different people. And you were telling me before we sat down for this interview about how hostels even provide activities at times for guests. Tell me a little bit about that.
Right, so Hosteling International, we're the only hostel organization in the entire world, meaning we're the only hostel that is a nonprofit. So we've been around for over 100 years. Hosteling International started as American Youth Hostel here in the US in the 30s. Before that, it was actually a way for German youth to go out and see the rural countryside. So they would bike from hostel to hostel as a way to experience more than what was outside of their cities. So here at hostels in the US, the tradition still carries on. So part of the amenities that we offer that differs us from other hostel organizations is we offer, yes, amenities, you know, fresh coffee, things like that, but we'll also offer experiences that will help you socialize with our guests. So marshmallow roasts, here we're in front of our fire pit in Hyannis, volleyball games like our games we have in Martha's Vineyard, walking tours like we have at our hostel in New York City, our pub crawls that are very popular in Boston among the student population, and those are all put on by locals. So we're always looking for local people from each community where hostels are to come and experience the intercultural exchange happening and to be ambassadors and to showcase their fine towns, communities, and cities. So they'll actually accrue volunteer hours with us, and then they can add those up for up to 5 hostel overnights per year of any of our participating hostels in the US. And we have over 55 locations and over 9,000 worldwide. So there's so many opportunities to hostel.
Wow, how cool is that? So you can volunteer to earn yourself some nights and take a trip and explore other parts of the country that you may not have seen yet. What a cool opportunity. Yeah. You know, when I think of a hostel, I used to think of, I had in my mind like a bunk bed scenario, like a dorm room, but this is really not always like that. I mean, yes, there are some shared spaces, but there are private rooms as well that are very economical, and families take advantage of this as well.
Absolutely. We have families, we have Girl Scout troops, we have baby boomers, seniors, couples. And the nice part is, like, we're not asking you to do the traditional hostel stay necessarily. It's 2017. People need their space. We have competitors like Airbnb and, you know, not necessarily the hotel industry because we're at a much smaller price point. But we do have hostels with private rooms with ensuite baths too.
So cool. And I was looking at some of the rates are really affordable. $35 per person during the week, and then this is in the summer, of course.
Yes.
And then on the weekend, $40 per person. If you had 3 individuals, you could stay in a private room for $109. It's such a bargain.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, we just have so many of these beautiful locations that people can go and experience that they never otherwise would have. I honestly had never been to Nantucket in my life or been to Martha's Vineyard. I never thought I would be able to afford something like that. That was just not me. But it is. It's affordable, it's accessible, and to many and to all.
How can we find out more information about not just the hostel here in Hyannis, but about other hostels across the country and in our region?
So I'm your regional engagement manager for the Northeast. So the hostels in the region span Hyannis, where we're sitting, Eastham, Truro, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, and then Boston as well. That's the 3rd largest hostel in our network. New York City, which is the largest in the Western Hemisphere, and then Tibbetts Point, New York. But you can check out our website to see the other hostels around the country. Like I was telling you earlier, we love to retrofit old buildings. So if you ever want to stay in a lighthouse hostel, we have that. A firehouse hostel, we have Victorian mansions, all sort of really funky things. So their vibe is much different at all different locations. So don't just go to one, go to as many as you can.
Yeah, you gotta try and catch them all. So cool. I know an event is coming up that is really interesting. This is happening in September. It's the International Day of Peace. What is this event about?
Absolutely. So HIUSA celebrates 4 signature programs per year. The International Day of Peace is by far my favorite because this is a day in which we really celebrate peace as it was inducted by the United Nations, and that was just a few years ago. So that looks different in every hostel location. We have some sense of unity in terms of like the color lighting that we'll have. You'll notice that the hostel will be lit up here on Ocean Street in blue. So that's in celebration of the peace being the color blue. But our programming will look different all around the country. Here in Hyannis this year, we're going to be celebrating the local arts and culture by bringing guests to events that are taking place in the community. In Nantucket, they'll be doing Reiki for Peace, which is an Eastern modality of healing. But it could look very different. Blues for Peace, things of that nature. There could be peace conferences in DC or in New York. We've done some really heavy educational components to that, some advocacy as well. So it's a really fun thing that we celebrate, and it's celebrated around all of our hostels throughout the world in over 90 countries we're in now, so which is really exciting.
Wow. Is there anything else you want to make sure our viewers are aware of when it comes to hostels? Anything you want to maybe correct or get out there?
Absolutely. We're a community institution, so we want to make sure that you know that we're here for you, not just for tourists. We're here because we're a nonprofit, and we want you to help us spread our mission. Our mission is to help all, especially the young, gain a greater understanding of the world and its people through traveling and through hosteling. So what better way to do that than to actually go out and have fun and to come and visit a hostel and to help us do that by meeting some of our guests. And I know they'd love to meet you, and so would I. So please come down. We'll give you a tour anytime.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah. We really appreciate it. Learning all kinds of new things about the hostel here in Hyannis and hostels all across the country. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. This has been so fun. I appreciate it.
Our guest today, of course, Sarah Ward. She is the Northeast Regional Engagement Manager for Hosteling International.